Welcome to OGGR, Old Guy's Geekly Review. We've got episode 30 here, but sadly it is without my good buddy Nick. He is out with the cold, so we're going to do just a little stopgap OGGR episode here where we can just give you the details, and then, we'll move on from there and hopefully be able to bring you more fun stuff next week. So this should be shorter. And here we go, kicking off with episode 30. The biggest thing everybody's talking about this week is the James Gunn DC universe and what all that entails. And it looks like you're getting a couple things. It looks like you're getting in a couple of years, a mainline story, very cohesive, apparently, all tied together. That's the hope. And James Gunn is going to bring you that starting in a couple of years. In the meantime, we've got what's called the Extended Universe. The Extended Universe is the movies that are already coming out, and it is separate. Think multiverse. So there's going to be probably two Batmans in the movies. It may get a little confusing, but they're trying to say that anything with the elsewhere tag is something that's not going to follow the James Gunn universe, the regular DCEU. So keep that in mind. We'll see how that comes out, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of more information for you in the future. Other movie news. Watch Black Panther, and Black Panther was okay. I don't know that I was particularly excited by any of the Marvel movies that came out this past year, and Black Panther was another one of those trends. I really hope with Ant-Man coming up in the next couple of weeks that we kind of get back on track with a very cohesive, tied-in movie universe for Marvel. We'll see how that comes out in 2 weeks. We got a little bit less than 2 weeks for Ant-Man Quantumania. Hopefully that'll be really good. At the box office, Knock at the Cabin and 80 for Brady overthrew Avatar: The Way of Water. So Avatar came in third, and then Knock at the Cabin, 80 for Brady, took places 1 and 2. The race was pretty tight, and honestly, I think that next week Avatar might be number 1 again, especially if those two drop any significant amount. But we'll see. We got one horror movie coming out this next weekend, Consecration, and if you're into horror movies, that might be something to check out at the box office. But pretty slow weekend up until the weekend after this, which is Ant-Man Quantumania. On the TV side of things, we've got a possible reboot for Faulty Towers, which is apparently going to include John Cleese. So hopefully that all comes together and is good. I'm not exactly excited about reboots myself, but Faulty Towers is definitely special. For me, it's something that my father and I watched together and when I was a kid, and so I really hope it's good. The originals still stand up to the test of time. They're funny. If you haven't seen Faulty Towers with John Cleese and you're looking for something silly and funny, check that out. Also on the TV, the biggest TV thing right now is The Last of Us, and it's getting an early episode release for episode 5 since the Super Bowl's this weekend. Apparently, this is one of the TV shows that is actually going up in viewership, and that's because of good word of mouth. Myself personally, I played the video game. It was very impactful and very emotionally rough. So I've been skipping the TV show just because I know the story and I know what kind of drama we're getting into. But if you haven't played the video game, or if you don't mind kind of rehashing the story there, then I'm sure that this is a good TV show for you to check out. So The Last of Us on HBO. Watched the different Saturday Night Live skits with Pedro Pascal, and the Mario Kart one was hilarious. My favorite was the wings, but check those out. Some really good stuff from our boy Pedro on Saturday Night Live this weekend. We've got a couple of premieres coming up this week. We've got the 9th and final season for Flash on the CW. So hopefully the DC universe in its current form will kind of get to wrap up, and we'll see the end of Flash. And then South Park 26th season on Comedy Central. And then on the 9th, we've got Harley Quinn, a Valentine's special, HBO. So yeah, the Harley Quinn It's a hilarious adult-oriented cartoon. Check that out if you want some laughs. Then on February 10, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur animated on Disney Plus. On the anime side of things, we've taken a little break from the current run of anime. Some of the things are getting delayed, and it's just mid-season, so I'm not going to rehash the same shows over and over. So I went back last week for our first episode of Anime in History, and we talked about Astro Boy. So I watched parts of, or even an entire season of, almost 90% of the shows that came out in the 60s after Astro Boy. Most of them just clips or single episode, but I did watch the entire run of Speed Racer, and just based on other things, Speed Racer is probably, if you're looking for a show from the 60s, the first one to check out. It's probably the most solid from all that. It is, it's not so much about racing. I would almost call it a spy thriller in more ways, because there's a lot of espionage types of things that goes on. So not always as much about racing as you might think. Watched Gigantor, which has a huge impact on the Japanese community. I looked at they have a 60-foot statue of this thing in a park, and so Gigantor very much part of the public mind. Big mech, remote controlled, some good stuff there. If you're looking for more shoujo instead of shonen, the very first shoujo, Sally the Witch, premiered in the 60s. So if you're looking to see some history on that side, you're not really interested in shonen stuff, Sally the Witch is definitely something. And kind of on the same line, and I think it's the first cross-dressing anime, Princess Knight. So for a historic view, you can definitely see the Disney influence on the animation here. And so it's early 60s. Actually, it's the same time that Speed Racer came out. So Princess Knight, if you're looking for something more shoujo than shonen, and deals with a cross-dressing princess who has both a blue heart and a purple heart. Very kind of interesting and odd fantasy adventure type stuff. And then next week on the anime episode, we'll dig into the very first part of the 70s and check out what happened in the early 70s. As far as video games, we have the Nintendo Direct coming up later today, so we'll have more about that next week. Looks as if Nintendo is getting ready to jump on that $70 price tag, so you're going to start seeing $70 Nintendo games come out, which, it's the way things go. But with the Switch being such a last-gen system, I kind of wonder about the $70 price tag myself, but not surprising that they're jumping on with everybody else. Hogwarts Legacy comes out on the 10th, and no matter how you feel about JK and all the other stuff, the game itself is pretty solid. It's getting 50-something critics have already weighed in on Metacritic, and it's got a pretty solid 86. So it looks like it's actually the better of the Harry Potter games. So Hogwarts Legacy on the 10th is arriving for pretty much most of the next-gen systems, I believe. I think everything except the Switch. And then played more Marvel Midnight Suns. You've heard me talk about that a bunch. And next week I'll be reviewing Dead Space and Forspoken. See if Forspoken is as bad as everybody says. See if Dead Space is as good as everybody says. We'll weigh in on that. Then you've got just a couple other things coming up as far as video games, and I would say the big one to look forward to for me is Octopath Traveler 2 on the 24th. But you've got Wild Hearts on the 17th. You've got Atomic Hearts on the 21st, which is also going to be on Game Pass Day 1 release. And on the 21st, you've got also Like a Dragon Ishin, and the first Like a Dragon Yakuza. Such an amazing, funny role-playing game. Incredibly long. I mean, you're in for possibly 100 hours of gameplay with that one. So great funny. I can't really say enough good things about it, but it is quite the big game. So quite the commitment. All right, this has been your breakdown for OGGR, Old Guys Geek Review, episode 30.